Morning everyone, and welcome to the last edition of the Martins Hill Mercury before Christmas. It's been a busy week, if a slightly frustrating one. We started on a real nice note last week. We had a good number of people from the NHRE come up for a gallop this morning on the Saturday. The weather was pretty kind to us. The rain didn't start until after we were back from the gallops. Horses all behaved themselves. We had a super breakfast and it was lovely to see everyone. Always good to see as many people as possible on a Saturday morning, certainly. Very grateful to Tom Humphreys, who took over duties of the yard tour afterwards. Many of you will know Tom from his years as a jockey, and he still rides out here, and he is a super host for when we get people visiting. We were then up to Doncaster for Exploiter, ran another very nice race. He's got a handicap mark now, 113, which it seems harsh. If you take it through the bare form of his Bangor run, you can just about justify it. But by and large, I just think that's a few pounds too high. He'll have a little break. He'll come back in the spring. He's had 4 runs in fairly quick succession now. And he'll only be out for sort of 3-4 weeks and then bring him back. And we'll see then whether the mark's fair or not. He's a super horse, regardless of where that mark is, and he's going to be a super chaser next year. We were Southall then the next day, didn't run, pulled out on the day. The ground was absolutely horrible there, and I'm pleased that we lived to fight another day. But that didn't stop us going all around the country this week trying to find better ground. We were up to Catterick. Jessica Rabbit ran a really nice race to be in the places again there. Whenever she gets half decent ground, she's placed every time this year, so delighted. And Callum McBride was riding her up there. Young £7 amateur, very good value for his claim there. And so there'll be plenty of rides for him, hopefully in amateur races this year, and of course point-appointing too. Then we were at Fakenham with Homing Star. She ran a much better race. I think we just put a line through the Sedgefield run before that. Whether it was the ground, whether it was a lot of travelling in 7 days, I just don't know. But she ran nicely at Fakenham. There's a race for her at Taunton beginning of January that I think we might well look at. Benton's Lad, again, ran a nice race on ground that pretty much by the time he'd run had gone too soft, unfortunately. I think we might give him a spin over fences next time out. And then Miss Katniss. Look, she's a work in progress. She got round, which again was a step forward, but I think she's just going to need to grow up a lot this year before she starts to get competitive. And then Casting Grey at Ludlow. Just too bad to be true, I'm afraid. I mean, this is a mare that was placed in a bumper for us back in the autumn up in Kelso. And just very disappointing run. I think she's just a bit under the weather, if I'm being honest. We haven't been able to find anything. There's certainly nothing serious there. So I think we'll just keep an eye on her, monitor her, and she'll bounce back. She's so much better than that. Nothing this weekend. The ground has just conspired against everyone, I think. I mean, look, when you get 2 runner graded chases at Ascot, it tells you that the ground is pretty poor all round, and certainly looking at Uttoxeter yesterday and Haydock today, it looks pretty dreadful all in all. So again, we'll just now take it steady on the run up to Christmas. Many of you might have seen an article in the Racing Post this week suggesting that perhaps we ought to race right up to and including Christmas Day. Not a fan of that idea, I have to say. We race pretty much every other day of the year, and the thought of having to race in the run up to Christmas on Christmas Day would just fill me with absolute horror. Everyone works so hard the rest of the year to suggest that actually we should be working on Christmas Day as well, on top of feeding them, getting out the Boxing Day runners, just generally doing what we do on a normal day anyway, I don't think is a good idea. But Boxing Day is going to be a nice busy day. We've got entries Wetherby, Wincanton, Market Raisin, Huntingdon. Dublin 4 should go to Huntingdon. Hopefully either Scorpion will go to Huntingdon, have his debut in the bumper, although it's a big field of entries there. Derek Danjou has got an entry in the conditional jockey's handicap hurdle. It'll be quite dependent on the ground for him. He'll need a dry few days. He's got an entry at Wetherby the day after as well. Sammy Lou will make his debut over fences. I'm quite excited about that. We've always thought he'd make a nice chaser. He ran in a point-to-point back in his younger days over in Ireland. He's schooled really well. Trip's probably shorter than ideal, but it's a nice opportunity for him to start a nice novice handicap chase. Delirious Love might run as well, but again, that's going to be very ground dependent for him. Elk Bridge has got a couple of entries, Wincanton and Weatherby, Supermare, and there's lots of fun to be had with her. Just need to get the conditions right for her. Ratface McDougall has got entries at Wincanton and Market Raisin. I think he'll have come on a good amount for his seasonal debut, so I'd expect him to run well. And then Ask Henry. We've just struggled to find possibilities for him, just simply because of the ground. I mean, we ran him at Ludlow on the very soft. He didn't enjoy it whatsoever. So we've been waiting for better ground. He's had a few entries, the rain's come, we haven't taken him up. So hopefully we'll get lucky over Christmas. Zulu Dawn should be running over the Christmas period. Deradan should be running over the Christmas period. Passing Shadow should be running over the Christmas period. Again, we'll just try and find the best of the ground for them. Distant Lady hopefully will run at Warwick on New Year's Eve as well, but fingers crossed that we get a much drier spell for her. She really will enjoy the better ground. Two that won't be running over the Christmas period that I know people have been asking about. Cape Blanco. He's still struggling with an infection just in one of his back hocks, and until we can really get rid of that and get him back on the road to recovery, it's far too early to talk about when and where he might be running. And Ami Dubois, he's just had a niggle in front, and we've decided just to lay off him for a week, 10 days or so, and he will be back hopefully with a bang in January. It's a shame. The Welsh National would have been a super race for everyone to run in, but if he's not 100%, then there's no point running him. Then we move into January, and we've got plenty of horses that hopefully should be having their first runs. A lot of horses coming back from injury, horses like Steins, Londonia, Norman Stanley, who won his bumper on his last start, who's turned into an absolutely super big horse. Lord Scoundrel will hopefully be having his first start for us. Obviously spent a good amount of time over at Gordon Elliott's. He's had a whole year off just to settle himself down, get over the niggle that he had, so hopefully we'll be having some fun with him. Londonia's back, Fleeting Visit will be back, and not coming back from injury, but certainly waiting for better ground. Follow the Swallow should be running as well, and I think on a sounder surface we should see the best out of him as well. I think on that note, all it remains for me to say is have a very, very happy Christmas. Do think of us on Christmas Day when we're riding out first thing. Raise a glass to us and we'll raise a glass to all of you, and look forward to seeing you after Christmas.